Have you ever had one of those moments when your adult child speaks to you in a tone that cuts a little too deep? Maybe it was a sigh of impatience when you asked for help with your phone, or perhaps it was a dismissive remark at a family gathering that left you feeling invisible, like your years of wisdom and sacrifice didn't matter. It stings, doesn't it? You give so much love, time, and care through the years, and yet there could be moments when the respect you deserve feels like it has slipped away. You're not alone. Many parents experience this shift once their children are grown, and it can be confusing, even painful. For decades, you may have been the one guiding, teaching, and supporting them, and now it feels as though the roles are reversed, but not always in the most gracious way. Sometimes, adult children don't realize how their words or actions land. Other times, stress, frustration, or distance makes them lash out, leaving you carrying the hurt. That's why this conversation is so important. Disrespect, when it happens, can leave lasting scars if it's not addressed. But the truth is, you do have the power to shape how you respond to it, not through anger or shouting matches. That usually only makes things worse, but through calm, steady, and powerful responses that protect your dignity and guide your children back toward respect. In this video, we'll talk about 6 responses you can use when your adult children are disrespectful. Not responses that create more conflict, but ones that bring balance, clarity, and peace into your relationship. Let's start with something simple but incredibly powerful: silence. Now, I don't mean the kind of silence that comes from sulking or shutting down. I mean intentional silence, the pause that communicates more than any words could. Imagine this. Your daughter rolls her eyes when you ask her to explain something on the computer. Instead of snapping back or feeling crushed, you take a breath, meet her gaze, and simply remain quiet for a moment. That silence creates a mirror. It forces her to reflect on her own behavior. Often, people don't notice how harsh they're being until they see that quiet disappointment staring back at them. Silence can be uncomfortable, and in that discomfort, respect begins to grow. You're not lowering yourself to her level. You're simply holding steady, letting your calm presence speak louder than any argument could. Now, silence alone is powerful, but pairing it with clear boundaries can make all the difference. Boundaries are not walls meant to shut people out. They're gentle fences that show others where respect begins and ends. Let's say your son raises his voice at you during a disagreement. Instead of shouting back, you calmly say, "I will not stay in this conversation if I'm being spoken to like that." Then, if the tone doesn't change, you walk away. This is not weakness. This is strength. You're teaching him that your presence is a privilege, and that privilege requires respect. Over time, when you consistently uphold these boundaries, your children learn to adjust their behavior. They may resist at first, but eventually, the message is clear. Love and respect go hand in hand. And here's something important to remember. Boundaries aren't just about what you won't allow. They're also about what you will invite. You can say, "I'm happy to talk with you about this, but I need it to be a calm conversation." By doing this, you're not just shutting down negativity. You're showing them the healthier way forward. Boundaries guide, they don't punish. As you think about these first 2 responses, silence and boundaries, it's natural to feel a bit of resistance. You might be thinking, but what if they don't listen? What if they pull away even further? That's a very real fear, and it's why this 3rd response matters so much. Choose your battles with wisdom. Not every eye roll, not every sharp tone deserves a confrontation. Sometimes, the most respectful thing you can do for yourself is to let small slights roll off your shoulders. Imagine if every single minor disrespect turned into a serious discussion. It would exhaust you in them. Instead, save your energy for the moments that truly matter, the ones where your dignity or your values are at stake. Choosing your battles is not about ignoring the problem. It's about preserving peace while still standing strong. For example, if your daughter snaps because she's stressed about work, maybe you let that one go, recognizing that it's not really about you. But if she repeatedly dismisses your opinions or refuses to listen when you speak, that's a moment to address. By being selective, you give more weight to the moments when you do stand your ground. They carry more impact because your children know you don't react to everything, only to what truly matters. All of these responses, silence, boundaries, and wisdom in choosing your battles, are not just strategies. They are ways of reclaiming your voice without raising it. They remind your children, gently but firmly, that respect is a two-way street. And perhaps most importantly, they keep you from being pulled into cycles of negativity or guilt. Instead of feeling powerless or angry, you begin to feel centered again, know you have tools at work in your favor. The truth is, disrespect can feel like a storm. It can rattle your heart, stir up old wounds, and make you wonder if your role as a parent still holds meaning. But when you step into the calm, when you use silence as your shield, boundaries as your guide, and wisdom as your compass, you find that the storm loses its grip. You're not powerless. In fact, you're more powerful than you think. Now that we've explored how silence, boundaries, and choosing your battles can shift the energy in your relationships, let's keep building on that foundation and explore even deeper ways to respond with calm and strength. Sometimes, though, silence, boundaries, and wisely picking your battles aren't enough on their own. There are moments when the sting of disrespect needs a more direct but still calm response, something that clears the air without escalating the tension. That's where the next response comes in, calmly naming what's happening. Think about how often disrespect slips by unacknowledged. An adult child may speak sharply or dismiss you without even realizing it. If it goes unspoken, resentment builds in your heart, and they continue without learning. But if you gently call it out, you shine a light on behavior without turning it into a battlefield. Imagine saying something like, "When you speak to me that way, it feels hurtful," or "I'd appreciate it if you could say that differently." Notice the tone. It's not accusing, it's not dramatic. It's calm, steady, and clear. You're not labeling them as a bad person. You're simply drawing attention to the behavior. That's a very powerful distinction. Sometimes just hearing their own words reflected back can stop someone in their tracks. For instance, if your son says something like, "You always make things harder," you might reply, "That sounded disrespectful. Can we try again?" You're not escalating, you're inviting. You're asking for a redo, and in that invitation, you give them space to correct themselves without feeling attacked. Of course, there are times when even calling it out doesn't shift the energy right away. That's when another powerful response comes into play, shifting the focus to gratitude and acknowledgement. Now, this may sound counterintuitive. Why would you show gratitude when they've just been disrespectful? But here's the truth. Negativity often feeds off more negativity, while gratitude disarms it. Picture this. Your daughter sighs impatiently when you ask her for help, and you could easily snap back. Instead, you pause and say, "I appreciate all the times you've helped me. I know it can be frustrating, but your support means a lot." What happens in that moment? The tone changes. The focus shifts from the annoyance of the moment to the bigger picture of love and care. Gratitude softens hearts. It reminds your children of the bond you share, a bond stronger than any moment of frustration. Now, showing gratitude doesn't mean you're excusing bad behavior. It means you're redirecting the conversation toward respect by highlighting what you value. It's like watering the flowers instead of the weeds. What you give attention to tend to grow. And often, adult children who feel appreciated are more willing to self-correct because they see the effort you're making to keep peace. Still, there's another layer here that's just as crucial. Sometimes disrespect comes not from malice, but from misunderstanding. As children grow into adults, they see the world differently. They may interpret your advice as interference or your questions as criticism, even when your heart is full of love. This is where empathy becomes a powerful response. Empathy doesn't mean you agree with their disrespect. It means you pause to understand where it's coming from. For example, if your son snaps, "I don't have time for this right now," instead of reacting in hurt, you might think he's overwhelmed. You could say, "I can see you're under a lot of stress. Let's talk when things calm down." What you're doing there is choosing not to take his tone personally, but to recognize that the behavior is likely a symptom of something deeper. This isn't always easy, especially when the disrespect feels pointed and personal. But empathy acts like a soft cushion between you and the sting. It protects your heart and, surprisingly, it often softens theirs too. When people feel seen, even in their frustration, they're more likely to lower their defenses. Your empathy doesn't excuse their behavior, but it opens a door for better communication. Let's step back for a moment and notice something important about these responses. So far, You've learned how silence can speak volumes, how boundaries draw lines of respect, how wisdom helps you choose your battles, how calmly naming behavior brings clarity, how gratitude redirects negativity, and how empathy shields your heart while softening theirs. What's the common thread running through all of these? It's calmness. It's the refusal to let someone else's storm drag you under. And that calmness isn't weakness. It's strength. It's power. Because when you remain steady, you become the anchor in the relationship. You're not tossed about by their moods or words. You're grounded. That's the kind of strength that not only protects you, but eventually teaches your children, even without words, how respect should look. Now, it's worth remembering that none of this happens overnight. Adult children don't suddenly change after one calm response or one boundary. It takes consistency. It takes patience. But here's the beauty of it. Every time you choose calmness over chaos, dignity over drama, you're reinforcing the truth that your worth is not negotiable. And here's something even deeper. These responses don't just change a relationship. They change you. They lift the heavy weight of resentment from your shoulders. They remind you that while you may not control how others act, you always control how you respond. And that control, that freedom, is what keeps your spirit light and your heart at peace. So as you carry these tools into your interactions with your children, picture yourself as a tree planted firmly in the soil. Winds may come, storms may blow, but your roots are deep. You bend, but you don't break. You sway, but you don't fall. That's the calm, powerful presence you're creating every time you use these responses. And from that steady place, we can now explore even more ways to turn these moments of disrespect into opportunity for growth, for you and for your children. By now, you've seen how powerful calmness can be. Whether it's silence, boundaries, wisdom, naming what's happening, gratitude, or empathy, each one reshapes the energy in the room, giving you back your strength. But there's one more layer that ties all of these together, and it's perhaps the most transformative of all: leading by example. Respect is not something you can force. It's something you inspire. Your children may be grown, but they are still watching you, still learning from how you handle life. When they see you respond to disrespect not with anger, but with dignity, they're given a living model of what maturity looks like. It may not sink in immediately. Sometimes it takes years, but those seeds are planted. Imagine your son speaking harshly, and instead of snapping back, you calmly say, "I won't be spoken to like that. Let's try again when we're both calmer." Even if he storms off in frustration, the example you set lingers in his mind. Over time, it becomes harder to justify his behavior when yours is consistently rooted in grace and self-respect. And here's the beautiful part. Leading by example isn't just about them. It's also about you. Every time you choose dignity, you strengthen your own sense of worth. You remind yourself that no matter what anyone says or does, you are steady, valuable, and deserving of respect. That inner reminder changes the way you carry yourself, and that shift is often what sparks change in others. Now, let's be honest. There will be days when all of this feels exhausting. Days when it feels like no matter how calmly you respond, your children just don't get it. On those days, another powerful response comes into play. Giving yourself space. Distance is not failure. It doesn't mean you don't love your children. It means you love yourself enough to step back when things are unhealthy. Taking a break from frequent calls, skipping a heated family dinner, or simply saying, "I need some time for myself right now," can create room for perspective. Often, when children sense that their behavior is pushing you away, it makes them pause and reconsider. Space also gives you time to refuel. It allows you to reconnect with activities, friends, and practices that remind you of your joy outside of family conflicts. Maybe it's gardening, walking with a friend, joining a book club, or simply sitting in the quiet with a cup of tea. When you're grounded in your own life, you're less shaken by the ups and downs of others. That's why giving yourself space is not withdrawal, it's wisdom. As you practice all of these responses, it's important to hold on to one truth. You can only control your side of the equation. You can't force your children to change, but you can refuse to let their disrespect define you. You can't rewrite their moods, but you can protect your peace. And sometimes, when they see that they cannot shake you, they adjust. Because disrespect thrives on reaction. When you no longer give it the reaction it's looking for, it loses power. I want you to imagine for a moment what it feels like to walk into a room with your head high, your heart calm, and your spirit steady, knowing that nothing your adult children say can take away your dignity. Imagine them testing your patience with a sharp word, and instead of shrinking or exploding, you respond with the kind of calm that makes them stop and think. That's not a fantasy. It's possible. It begins with these 6 responses. Practice again and again until they become second nature. Now, here's something else to keep close to your heart. Disrespect may feel personal, but often it's not truly about you. Sometimes it's stress. Sometimes it's their own insecurities. Sometimes it's a burden of life weighing on them. By remembering this, you lift the unnecessary weight of blame off your shoulders. You stop carrying the lie that you are somehow at fault. You've already done your part. You've raised, guided, loved, and sacrificed. You don't have to earn their respect. You already deserve it. And when you live from that truth, everything changes. Conversations may still have rough edges, but you meet them with resilience. Moments of disrespect may still sting, but they don't linger in your heart. You begin to see yourself not as someone trying to fight for respect, but as someone already worthy, simply teaching others how to treat you. If you take nothing else from this message, let it be this: you are not powerless. You are not invisible. You are not defined by the sharp tones, the eye rolls, or the dismissive words. You are defined by the strength, the wisdom, and the calm you bring to every interaction. That is your gift, your shield, and your legacy. So, when your adult children disrespect you, try these responses. Use silence when words would only inflame. Hold your boundaries with calm strength. Choose your battles with wisdom. Name the behavior with clarity. Redirect with gratitude. Cushion with empathy. Lead by example. And when needed, give yourself space. Each of these is a way of protecting your dignity while gently guiding your children back toward respect. And if they never fully change, you still win, because you've chosen peace. You've chosen self-respect. You've chosen to rise above. And that choice, day after day, makes you stronger, lighter, and freer. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever faced disrespect from your adult children? What responses worked for you? And which of these do you feel ready to try? Share your thoughts in the comments below. You never know who might be encouraged by your story. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more conversations like this. We're building a space where wisdom and life experience are honored, and your voice is a part of that. Remember this: no matter your age, no matter the struggles in your family, you have the power to choose dignity over drama, calm over conflict, and peace over pain. You walk through too much in life to let anyone, child or not, take away your worth. Hold your head high, stand firm, and keep shining. Here's to living with respect, love, and peace at any age.